How many men of war were there when Israel was at Mount Sinai? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Numbers on Walking Through the Bible. If you have a Bible with you, turn to Numbers chapter 1. We're going to be reading from verses 40 to 46. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Numbers chapter 1, beginning at verse 40. From the children of Asher, their genealogies by their families, by their father's house, according to the number of names, from 20 years old and above, all who were able to go to war, those who were numbered of the tribe of Asher, were 41,500. From the children of Naphtali, their genealogies by their families, by their father's house, according to the number of names, from 20 years old and above, all who were able to go to war, those who were numbered of the tribe of Naphtali, were 53,400. These are the ones who were numbered, whom Moses and Aaron numbered with the leaders of Israel, 12 men, each one representing his father's house. So all who were numbered of the children of Israel by their father's houses, from 20 years old and above, all who were able to go to war in Israel, all who were numbered were 603,550. In this chapter, we've been covering the census of Israel. This census was not of every man, woman, and child. It was only of those who were 20 years of age and older, able to go to war. It is this point that we need to remember. God was not being sexist here or saying that women were unimportant. He was wanting Moses and Aaron to count the number of men who would be able to act as soldiers when Israel was in battle. That would also be evident through the exclusion of Levi from this census. So far, we've seen the census numbered from 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel. We noted that Judah had the largest numbers, although Joseph's tribe had 2 representatives who, when taken together, were only slightly less than Judah. We also found that Benjamin was the smallest tribe of those who were direct sons of Jacob. That only leaves us with Asher and Naphtali to deal with. According to Numbers 113, Pagiel, the son of Ochran, was selected to report the numbers for Asher, and he stated that there were 41,500 men over the age of 20 able to go to war. For Naphtali, Numbers 115 says that Ahira, the son of Enan, was selected to report their numbers, and he stated that there were 53,400 men over the age of 20 who were able to go to war. So if you want to arrange Israel in order of tribes, beginning with the largest to the smallest, you would order them as Judah, Dan, Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Naphtali, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Ephraim, Benjamin, and Manasseh. As we said earlier, Levi was not counted in this census, as they would not receive a land of inheritance, seeing as how they were the priestly tribe, and seeing as how the priests would not go to war. In total, then, all who were numbered as men over the age of 20 who could go to war in Israel were 603,550. Now, this number is, of course, a lot of people, considering that only 70 people went down into Egypt. But let's remember something. First of all, families were larger then than we have today. Typically, families today have 2 to 3 children. If each child got married and had on average 3 children, then to get up to the numbers that we find in each tribe would take longer than 4 generations. In fact, it would take about 11 generations to get the approximate numbers of each tribe. And of course, that's only having 3 children. The numbers here in Numbers are only men over the age of 20, and so if we limited each family to only 2 to 3 children instead of 2 to 3 males, it would take even more generations and even more time. But of course, since families were much larger in those days, it isn't too difficult to see how those numbers could increase in a relatively short period of time. But let's also remember another thing. Exodus 1 said that God blessed the children of Israel and caused them to multiply. That fulfilled God's promise to Abraham that the number of people that came from him would be like the sand of the seashore or the stars of heaven. That would have meant that the child mortality rate in Israel must have been quite low, thus allowing the numbers to rise quickly. The skeptic reads the Bible and comes away skeptical because they are A, trying to remove God from the picture, and B, because they're trying to fit 21st century norms onto a society from 1450 BC. Our societies are nowhere close to being in the same situations, so comparing them in this way is futile. However, if we allow God to be God and allow Him to work through the course of human history, then we should expect to see some amazing things, such as rapid population growth and people who lived longer than they do today. We don't see these all the time because God hasn't written all of human history beforehand. But with Israel, they had a special place in God's plan, for the Messiah would come from their numbers, so that we should see Him at work here should not surprise us. These then are the numbers of Israel at Mount Sinai, excluding the Levites. What of them? We'll talk about them, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Numbers chapter 1, verses 47 to 54, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world. Amen.